Hi there. Welcome back to Rethink Aging. I'm Dr. Cindy, and today's topic is protecting your brain's blood vessels. We know that our brains run on blood and all of the rest of our body, of course. We have miles and miles of blood vessels that the job is to carry nutrient-rich blood and oxygen to the cells so that they can work well and do their job and help us feel well and have energy. And then the blood also brings back metabolic waste and runs it through our elimination systems, through the liver and kidneys. And so the blood vessels are really key for our overall health. And today I'm going to be sharing 10 functional medicine and lifestyle strategies or tips to take care of your blood vessels. There's a part of the anatomy that you may not know about. It is called the endothelial glycocalyx. This is a delicate inner lining to all of our blood vessels. It functions as a barrier. It also helps to regulate our blood pressure through modulation of nitric oxide production. It protects against oxidative stress, and it can just overall protect the lining of the blood vessels from being damaged by various factors, which we'll get into, but aging and stress and environmental pollution, tobacco, smoke, lots of things can damage the lining. And I'm going to help share some tips for you to learn how to protect it so that we can decrease our risk for dementia, both vascular dementia and Alzheimer's disease, because there's often a vascular component to Alzheimer's disease. And by doing these, you will also be preventing or minimizing your risk for strokes, TIAs, and cognitive decline. So I'm going to give you the top 10. I made a little list here. Number 10 is to know your numbers. These are blood work biomarkers that I check on virtually every patient that I see. We do, of course, the basic cholesterol profile, but also advanced cardiometabolic testing. There's 3 numbers I wanna highlight today. The LP little a, this is like a sticky cholesterol molecule that tends to be an inherited, um, feature of, unfortunately, increased risk of cardiovascular disease, so you wanna know if your levels are high. There's also Lp(PLA2), which is an enzyme that we measure that can signal vascular inflammation. So if that's high, that's a real red flag that you're, at risk, increased risk for strokes and heart attacks in the next few years. So that's an important number to know. And then we have the LDL particle number, and the lower the better on that. The same things that will lower your bad cholesterol or LDL will lower the LDL particle number. So know your numbers is my number one advice. And then, of course, address them, take steps to address them through lifestyle measures first, nutraceuticals, and potentially pharmaceuticals if needed. So number 9 is another important number, which is your blood pressure. You want to know your blood pressure and try to optimize it through, once again, lifestyle measures first. Many, many times we can get the blood pressure down without pharmaceuticals by optimizing body composition. So losing any unwanted body fat and building lean muscle improves your metabolic health. There's a whole slew of natural supplements that can help with blood pressure, things like magnesium. In my first video, I talked about magnesium being the miracle mineral. It does all sorts of positive things for the body, including potentially lowering the blood pressure. I like to pair magnesium with taurate. The combination of those tends to be synergistic with lowering the blood pressure. And there's also some natural herbs, things like hawthorn and hibiscus that you can make a nice tea with, and those have natural blood pressure lowering compounds in them. And so, when done on a regular basis, that can lower the blood pressure appreciably. So you want to address your blood pressure. We can do that through lifestyle measures to lose weight, to build muscle. We can add nutraceuticals and micronutrients like magnesium. You can also do breath work, relaxation activities, minimizing your use of alcohol. Caffeine can sometimes raise the blood pressure. There's a whole slew of natural remedies for hypertension, and at some point, I'll probably do a whole entire episode on that. So stay tuned for that in the future. So that was number 9 is to optimize your blood pressure to help protect the vascular endothelium and increase your longevity. Number 8 is address any insulin resistance that might be occurring in your body. And insulin resistance is very, very common. It tends to occur when we age and gain weight. Having extra fat or adipose tissue in the body leads to insulin resistance. We'll step back. Insulin is a hormone that's secreted by the pancreas in response to glucose intake in the body. And it has a very important job. It acts as a messenger, or some people say a bouncer, that keeps the sugar, where it needs to go. So insulin kind of metaphorically knocks on the door of the cell to say, "Hey, we've got some blood sugar out here. Open up the doors of the cell and allow the sugar in." So insulin is a messenger, and it keeps the blood sugar levels balanced. Unfortunately, when we have insulin resistance, which again comes from weight gain and some other factors, including genetics and aging and toxicity, when there's resistance to the effects of insulin, then it's left out there, just knocking on the door of the cell, and the cell doesn't hear the message. So that's when the blood sugar can rise over time, and that leads to a lot of negative changes in the lining of the blood vessel. So you want to deal with insulin resistance. Thankfully, the similar things that optimize your cardiovascular markers and your blood pressure can also help lower insulin resistance. We're talking about optimizing your body weight, exercising, eating a whole foods diet that has minimal added sugar, minimal processed food, so you can avoid that spike in blood sugar that comes with foods that have a lot of added sugar. So, lifestyle measures is a wonderful way to lower insulin resistance. Tip number 7 is to nourish your endothelium. And there are a lot of just beautiful foods out there that can nourish the lining of the blood vessels. And you can think about berries and beets. Dark chocolate is one of my favorites. Olive oil, nuts, basically a whole foods, plant-heavy diet is very nourishing for the lining of the epithelium. Number 6 is to be mindful of everyday exposure to toxins. Unfortunately, we live in a world where there's a lot of environmental chemicals that we're exposed to through the air, through the food that we eat, in our environments. And so, you want to educate yourself and try to minimize your exposure through taking inventory of your household products, your personal care products, looking around your environment and educating yourself about the risks. You also want to filter your air in your home, in your office, if at all possible. Filter your water. Get your water tested. Make sure you're having nice, clean air and water. Also, purchasing organic produce if at all possible. Um, let's see what else. Drinking lots of water and just helping to flush out the toxins that are in your system. And there's various foods, such as the cruciferous vegetables, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts that actually have detoxifying um, components to their makeup. And so when we eat those wonderful produce, it helps our body get rid of environmental toxins. So that is tip number 6. Tip number 5 is to be attentive to your gut and heal the lining of the gut, the microbiome of the gut, and that's easier said than done. But there's a lot of lifestyle um, strategies that you can use. And again, once again, it comes down to food and nutrition. Eating lots of fiber can be helpful for healing the gut. So, plants, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, nuts, seeds, berries, all of that. The fiber provides our microbiome with food. The gut bacteria eat the fiber, and then in return, they produce short chain fatty acids, which then nourish the lining of our gut and help keep our gut with integrity. Whole foods, also eating foods that are fermented, can be helpful in cultivating a diverse and balanced and healthy microbiome. So, lots of fiber, lots of color in your foods, and not artificial colors. And using fermented foods can be really helpful. And paying attention to gut related symptoms. For example, if you have acid reflux or diarrhea or constipation or heartburn on a regular basis, seek out help for that and not just, going to the pharmacy and getting an over the counter medication to mask those symptoms. Recognize that when your gut is talking to you in the form of these symptoms, it means something's out of balance. And so we want to really try to address the root cause and get that healed up so that it doesn't progress. And I guess I should explain why I'm talking about the gut as it relates to vascular health. You probably are aware that functional medicine has the view that we are totally connected. We're this biological system with lots of interconnected systems, and there's, the gut brain axis. And we know that when we have gut microbiome disruption and disruption of the lining of the gut, that can directly impact our brain function and our risk for cognitive decline down the road. So that's number 5. Number 4 is move your body. Exercise is so healing to the vasculature. Exercise helps to keep your blood pressure low. It helps with metabolic health by building muscle and helping to burn off any extra body fat. It releases healthy endorphins, makes us feel good and be more resilient to stress. So exercise is key for our vascular health. And number 3 is to calm the nervous system. That we can probably explore that in depth in a future episode. Some of my favorite ways to calm the nervous system are just closing my eyes and being silent and breathing, saying a silent prayer. That can be very calming to the nervous system when you're, in a busy day or feeling frazzled. Taking a walk in nature, loving on your dog or cat, calling a friend, those sort of things. But there's also ways that we can be more specifically trying to cultivate a calm in our bodies through toning the vagal nerve. gargling, humming, singing, chanting, all of those activities send a vibration in our neck and stimulate the vagus nerve, which then promotes a calming and healing response in the body. And when that happens, it affects our vasculature and can help lower blood pressure and decrease our risk for heart attacks. Number 2 is to identify and treat any obstructive sleep apnea or central sleep apnea and any poor sleep. Sleep is, as you probably are aware, very critical for our health, for our brain health in particular. There's microglial cells that sweep up waste, metabolic waste at night, and that's the only time they come out and do that. So we have to get into the deep restorative sleep for that to happen. And when we are deprived of sleep or oxygen through having apnea, that can lead to damage to the blood vessels. So, if you snore or have excessive daytime sleepiness or depression or uncontrolled hypertension, there's a lot of clues for obstructive sleep apnea. Talk to your doctor and get tested and get some treatment for that. And then, same goes for poor sleep. Finally, my number 1 tip for protecting your endothelium is to anchor all of these uh, choices and decisions that you make about your health, anchor them in your reason for being, the meaning and purpose that you have in life. When we do that, it helps us to stay committed because, you know, our tendency as human beings is to do the least amount of effort, the path of least resistance, and it's only when we are deeply motivated from a place of meaning and purpose that we can stick with these changes for the long haul, which is required. And that was my summary of spotlighting the endothelium and how to protect your vasculature for brain health and longevity. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode of Rethink Aging, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone you love. For more episodes and highlights from the show, you can check out more videos right here and here. I also invite you to join the Rethink Aging community at caringforthebody.org, where you can find more resources on how to better protect your brain, strengthen your body, and live with purpose. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next episode.